Hey everyone, welcome back to JP's Budget Collecting, home of that dirty comic flipper JP. Oh goodness gracious. Yeah, running a little late. I could blame it on the time change, but really I just lost track of time. I was doing something. Oh, well, enjoy Dollar Ben. Enjoy your trip to your LCS. And really, thank you for joining us. All right, as always, I'm going to try to keep this short. We got 15 books this week. I will go back through the chat here after I do my breakdown of my categories. As always, this video is looking at the hot comics of this week from both the CBSI Hot Top 10 and the 10 books that Comic Tom highlights from Key Collector, Hot 20. Tom highlights 10. So those 20 books in this week, that's 15 different books. There were 5 books that overlapped, and we're talking about them, and I'm giving my predictions based on all the lookbacks I've done on how they're going to perform, whether or not they're good investments, or whether they're cash or they are trash. So I want to thank everybody for joining us. And so quick reminder of what our categories are. We have the straight cash homie books. These are the books that are good investments pretty much at any point. Maybe you want to be a little patient because they're hot at the moment, but because of the ebbs and flow. But these are books that are going to have value no matter what. And generally that value is going to increase through time. We have the I'll Be Backs. These are also solid books with solid value, but maybe are a little higher than they should be just because of some announcement or something like that. And a little patience here would pay off, but definitely things that are worth tracking down at some point. Let me go back to the comments real quick just to get really off there. Branding. Then we have the It's a Traps, and we got some subcategories under that we always go into. And these are books I think are just flat traps that are hot for reasons that are not sustainable, and that more than likely people are overpaying for these books right now, and the long-term value on them is not that much. And finally, we have our Come On Mans, which are the What Are You Thinking? People, let's get real about this. And finally, which we don't actually have one this week. We have a couple that I considered, but we have our dumpster fires, which are just like, I can't help you. So those are our categories. I want to shout out this chat real quick. And then we will get back to, we'll start breaking down these books from this week. So we had Comic Books NYC, was Tailgating, Unruly Simeon, who I already put up there once. Thank you, as always, my friend. Dollar Ben says he's in an Uber, headed to his LCS. Hopefully he'll find him a bargain somewhere. CFAP, what's going on? Comics for All People, thank you for joining us. D-Runk is loving the Randy Moss for his Vikings. Oh, goodness gracious. Kachung, what is going on? And Delphia as well. Thank you both for joining us. I assume you're together. Any news on the DGC? Oh, still asking about DGC. So, coming tonight. Oh, we'll look forward to that. So, let's get into this week's books. I have one book that is in my straight cash homie category for this week. And that book is, let's add this to the stream, Batman 171, the first Silver Age Riddler. And this book hit the list because all the leaks and drops coming out about the new Matt Reeves, the Batman movie. We've seen the Batmobile. We know Riddler is one of the villains that is going to appear in the movie, and that is why this book got hot. Basically, raw copies of this have been going for around $250. 9.4 or an 8.0 went for $13.50. This is a book that's had value for a while. These are first Silver Age Batman villains are books that are more attainable than the Golden Age version for people. They have a lot of desirability. So this is not much need to explain why this is a straight cash homie book. It just is. With that, we are going to move on quickly to the I'll Be Backs. We have 3 and maybe more I'll Be Backs. I'll get into that here in a minute. And the first, my mouse is not wanting to work. The first of the I'll Be Backs is New Mutants number 14. So this is the book that CGC says is the first appearance of Illyana Rasputin as Magik. There is a dispute that Magik number 1 is actually the first time she appears as Magik. I'm not going to go into the details of why. I think I'm going to do a Let's Collect on her in the near future. I'm not going to go into the details of what this debate is and why it goes back and forth. But with the New Mutants movie coming, the trailer actually looked pretty good. She looked like potentially the breakout character in the movie. This book has been hot. It's 9.8. You're up over $300. So this is anytime you're approaching a movie, it's just a good time to be patient with a book and a character like this. Magik's a character that's going to be around. She's going to have some value. Just probably better off waiting until things cool off and we get a little ways away from the movie. So that is why New Mutants number 14 is here. Our next book on the I'll Be Backs is The Last of Us, American Dreams, and this is obviously an adaptation of the video game that actually came out before the video game ever released. This comic book actually issues 1 and 2 of the 4-book series came out before the game dropped. And this is a super popular game. HBO, like normally you could say JP would normally put this in the option news. Why am I not doing this? This is an HBO production that they're working on. I think this one's going to happen. I think all signs point to this one happening. This has a strong fan base right now, basically. But the book jumped from a $15. It jumped from a $20 to $25 book to a $50-ish book. And that also goes for the next book on our list, which is the variant of this, which is the Naughty Dog variant. And it jumped from 15 to 50 as well. I think there's going to be value here long term. I just think that obviously you want to be a little patient. Between now and when the show drops, there'll be a window to probably snag this, that you can get it for less. And then obviously when the show is happening, if it's a hit, this book is probably going to go up. But I would not necessarily, I would kind of avoid the announcements and try to find that lull between now and when it actually comes out. So that is why this book is in the, both of these books, they were both on the list, both the variant and the A cover, which was the first one I showed, were both books that I would come back for, kind of monitor over the next several months if this is a book you really want. If it's not a book you really want, then I wouldn't worry about it. But just a book you're looking for, I would just be a little bit patient on these for right now. All right. So how many more books do I have in the I'll Be Back? The next 4 books could really go almost anywhere. I debated on where to put them, whether they should be I'll Be Back, whether they should be Traps, whether they should be Come On Mans, whether they should be, you can even argue Straight Cash Homie, I mean, to a certain degree. And the reason for that is the next 4 books are all C2E2 con exclusives. And I want to pull this off for just a second and just talk for just a second to you guys. Con exclusives in my monitoring of the market over the last year are very hit or miss. They either, people just, as soon as the con is gone and the new flavor of the month is not the new flavor of the month, nobody, interest drops off and they go for nothing, or people hoard them and they basically disappear for the market. And when they appear, they can be really, they go for a lot or somewhere in between. And it really comes down to how cool is the cover, how important is the character that's on that cover, and how rare is the book. So, Unruly's already talking about one of them. JP is no good. Oh, look, it's a dirty flipper. It's a no good flipper. Oh, I can't wait nice. Look forward to that, Jay Hood. Thank you for joining us. Coach Vic is in the house. Anybody else that's joined other than Bear Island to call me a dirty, dirty flipper. All right, looks like that's everybody. So let's get into these four C2 E2 books. So let me pull this back up and let's talk about them in kind of order here. So first up is the Venom with the American flag. This one, the Venom, the End. This is a Clayton Crane C2E2 variant, limited to 600. This is the one that is currently going for 125. This is the one I initially had in the I'll Be Backs. Because it's Venom, it's a flag, it's Clayton Crane. There's a lot to like here. It's limited to 600, and we'll get into that in just a second. To me, I think this is one that's the hard part about Venom is super popular, but there's so many cool Venom covers that there's easily for this to get lost in the shuffle as you go forward. I think this is a fair bet because there's only 600 of them to maintain some value, maybe not quite the 125 to 150 that it's going for right now. But I would be surprised if this completely crashed. I think this is a book because there's only 600, because it's got the flag and Venom. I think this is one that's probably going to maintain some value. I would throw this probably in the I'll Be Backs, but I went back and forth on this one. The second one is the one that Unruly has already talked about, and that is the Wolverine, John Tyler Christopher, right? John Tyler Christopher, yes, C2E2 negative space variant. Obviously, this is the slightly hotter book of the moment. It's also going for 100 to 125, but there's 3,000 of these, which is a lot for a con exclusive. Typically, con exclusives aren't quite this high, or at least ones that have any chance of maintaining value. I mean, realistically, I still could have got this on Sunday. I never had any interest in it. By mistake. So I knew where to go to get it. I just never walked over there to get one. It's a super cool cover. Wolverine is a super popular character. Both of those things are going for it that would tell you that it could maintain. I looked at some of these the Rogue, the Spider-Woman, the Iron Man, some of the other basically con exclusives that he's done like this that are very similar. For the most part, they've maintained solid value, just less than the initial surge value of when they first came out. That's kind of where I'm at on this one. I think I would put this probably in an I'll Be Back. My guess is this is going to be a $75-ish book. That would be my guess long term. I don't think it's going to maintain the 100 to 125 it's at right now, because there's just enough of them. And again, this is another character where there's a ton of competition for cool covers for Wolverine. There's a lot of them. I don't think this is going to get lost in the shuffle, though, because it's so dynamic with the yellow. I could be wrong on this. I put it in the I'll Be Backs. I went back and forth. I don't think it's going to necessarily go up, but there are 3,000. Yes, there are 3,000 of them early. So there's a bunch. Like a typical con, you're looking at 500 or 1,000 or 600 or something. There's 3,000 of these, which is what I think puts a cap on it, where it's not going to just explode. Because otherwise, if this was a 500, I would think this one would explode. I think this would become one of those ghosts. Because there's 3,000, there's always going to be some available. That's where I'm at on this one. Yeah, 9/8 will be tough on this cover because of it. And I think that could be where your value's at long term. So that is the Wolverine cover. Our third C2E2 one, and this one I dropped down to the trap category. So let's go on. We're moving into the It's a Traps. And that is hard for me to do because obviously this is a Jenny Frison variant to Mercy #1, which I didn't even see this one. I don't know where this one was at. So, because I went by her booth a bunch, and I did not see this one. The Spider Woman is probably my favorite of those negative ones too. Although the Rogue one's really good too. But the yellow is pretty dynamic. Anyway, here's my thoughts on this. This is why this one is going for 50 to 60, where it was like a $20 buy-in. There's only 500 of these, which works in its favor. The problem with this is it looks a lot like a lot of Jenny Frison covers. It also looks a lot like a lot of the Mercy covers. There's a bunch of Mercy #1 covers that are kind of cool. And staying power on this book completely relies on whether or not this is a hit. Now, I picked up a copy of Mercy #1 because I decided to give it a try. I picked up the Art Germ from my comic shop because it had some buzz about it. If Mercy's a hit, this book could have more staying power than I'm giving it credit for. But people have to care about this long term for this to have staying power. I'm not sure they will. I'm not sure it's dynamic enough from the other Mercy #1 covers to make it have that staying power at $50 to $60. My guess is this is probably a $20 to $30 book long term. Because there's only 500 of them, it'll maintain some, but I think it's a trap at the 50 to 60. So that is my thoughts on Mercy. And then finally, the cover that I almost put as come on, man, as opposed to it's a trap. I forgot to put my little, hang on, wait, I'm into the covers. So we gotta do that. It's a pretty, I'm gonna die. We gotta put that up there. So that is the subcategory under It's a Trap that we're currently in. This is the Shannon Mare dark red #1 variant. Limited to 300, which obviously gives it some staying power. Here's my thoughts on this and why I think this one is definitely a trap at 80 plus, which is what it's going for right now. No one cares about dark red. The series didn't last. It didn't have staying power. No one cares. 2, this is technically, like, you want to get technical, this is a reprint. Dark Red came out last year at C2E2. This is a reprint of #1 from last year with a new cover. So it's a year later thing. Also, yes, Shannon Mare does sexy women well. This is obviously a very sexy cover. It's been done better, in my opinion, for Vampirella and Red Sonja, characters people actually care about. Does anybody know the name of this dark red character? Anybody? Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't know that I have a clue. Yeah, that was my thought on the Mercy Unruly. I don't know that I have a clue. I couldn't name you who this character is. So there you go. Bear says too airbrushy and video gaming for him for Shannon Mare. Every so often, Shannon has one I really like, but most of them I agree completely. Bear, like I would say 1 out of 10 of his like exclusives, I'm like, ooh, I like that one. The rest of them, I'm like, eh. But that's me. I know there are people that love Shannon Mare. Shannon Mare cover. Yep, it is. So this one is definitely a trap to me. And with that, let's move along to let's see, what do we do next? What do we got next? We got, oops. Oh, The Who. That's right. So we got the spec on characters that nobody cares about. Who the heck are these guys? Why do we care? Why are we doing this? Why are we having interest? So it doesn't matter what your name is. First up is Batman 90. Under the It's a Trap, Who the Heck Are You? This is obviously the first full appearance of the designer, an origin of the designer. Here's the thing. Batman introduces villains quite often. But Batman has the history of the strongest villains in comic books. Batman villains have the best staying power. They have the most monetary value. They can be hits. There's no doubt about it. So let's talk about the design. The thing is, in recent years, most of the villains that they've introduced haven't amounted to anything. They do this. A new villain hits for Batman. People jump all over the book. It immediately goes for $15, $20. The story arc ends. The next writer doesn't come back to them, or even that writer doesn't come back to the villain. the villain gets lost in the 8 billion Batman villains, and instead of the next writer comes on and decides, I'm going to tell another Joker story, then worry about a designer story or a Arkham Knight story or a, what was the, gosh, I can't even remember the name of the one that was before Arkham Knight in Detective Comics that came out in like the 1990s. There was a villain there that was everybody was buzzing about. Obviously, there's also this punchline stuff going on. I just think this one, yeah, how's that Arkham Knight doing? It's a trap. Maybe designer eventually becomes something, but right now this is a trap. You will be able to get this book for basically cover price, maybe 5 to 10 at the most, in the coming months. And yeah, there's just no reason to chase this book right now. Says the guy who has 2 copies listed on it. If you're buying on my eBay, don't go on and buy it. Exactly, Simply Incredible Podcast, and thank you for joining us. I'll do a shout out here in a minute after I get through this category. Next up is Dark Reign #1, Young Avengers #1, and this is the first Sylvie Loshton, the second Enchantress. Yeah, I never even knew there was a second Enchantress. Supposedly, there's rumors that someone got cast as a young girl got cast as Sylvie for the Loki show. They've never even used the original Enchantress yet in the MCU. No one's cared about this character, even if she plays a role in the Loki show. As soon as that's over, this character is going to fade, most likely. This is a trap. I mean, this book jumped up. It went from a $1 bin book to a $20 book. It's going to be a $1 bin book again. I'm sorry. When the show's gone, it's going to be nothing. This happens all the time with TV shows. I know the character's confirmed. That doesn't mean that she has long-term value. She has value until the show comes and goes, and then she got nothing, just like she had before, because no one has ever cared about the character. Dollar Bin's going to disagree. I get it. She's going to appear. So how many villains appeared in like all these Flash shows over the year that their books spiked and then they went to nothing? How many? Like, it happens all the time. Nobody cares. Same thing with villains in the MCU. They spike with the movies and then they fade back to where they were. That's most likely what's going to happen here. So, yeah. No one cares about the first Enchantress, let alone the second. So, yeah. This is at $20. This is a trap. There's just no way. All right. Avengers 85. First Squadron Supreme. Now, I almost put this in the I'll be back, because Squadron Supreme are cool characters. There's multiple first appearances here. But the thing is, generally nobody's really cared about this. This probably should be in the I'll be back because it does have actual value. But right now it's going for 75 and 9.41 for 255, and it's all based on unsubstantiated thoughts that maybe the MCU is going to use the Squadron Supreme. There's nothing to base this on. This is just people flat out speculating that they have to use villains and stuff from somewhere. Maybe they get to them eventually, but I think there's zero rush. I would not be chasing this book right now. That's why I have it in It's a Trap, because there's nothing to substantiate the fact that it should be spiking right now. There's nothing there. It's all rumor and innuendo. And until there's actually like something there, yeah, to me, it's crazy to chase this book right now. I would definitely wait on it. Our final Who the Heck Are You? It's a Trap is Star Wars Tales number 24. This is the first Darth Nihilus. This book basically jumped from dollar bins to $20. 9.8, so it's suddenly going for 175. Now, you could argue this also could be in the I'll be backs, because Star Wars collectors love their characters, love their first appearances. Darth Nihilus is a cool character if you know anything about his history. But this is all spiking based on the fact that they've announced this new High Republic thing, and the villains are basically going by the name of the Nihil. Nihil, NHIL is the gang. Or the gang that like is giving them problems, and people are speculating that they're going to be led by Darth Nihilus. Maybe. We'll see, I guess, is my thought. Probably this should be in, but there's no indication yet that that's the case. They've been pretty reluctant to actually use these legacy characters. Other than Thrawn, they really haven't used them in any of their stuff yet. Maybe they will use this character. Maybe they'll use Darth Nihilus. I think this is probably a trap at what it's going for. My guess is over the next couple of months, we're a ways away from High Republic coming out. My guess is this book is going to fade, and you'll be able to get on it later. And really just avoid Star Wars. Yeah, there's a lot of that going on. All right, before we get to the options, my last 3 books, let's shout out this chat because I've had a bunch of people hop in real quick. Rod, just a recap, thank you for the congratulations on 700 subs. I did hit that this week. Last week, whenever I was off at C2E2 and not making videos, so maybe that's what it takes for my subs to go up, is not make videos. Purgatory Paul's book reviews, what's going on? Simply Incredible Podcast, I think I shouted you out earlier. Tacoma Comics, thank you for joining us. Ruben, what's going on, my friend? I shouted out Bear Island earlier. Jay Hood, Dollar Ben is always disagreeing with me. Oh, no, he's agreeing with me there. Oh, that's awesome. Tacoma's watching from the airport. Let's see. Coach Vic, I shouted out. The Pie Face 667. What's going on? I did shout out Coach Vic. Anybody else? That's everybody I think that I see so far. All right. Now let's move on to our last category under the It's a Trap. And these are the you get an option, you get an option, you get an option. The first one of these is missed the click. There it is, Coyotes. Number 1. I love Sign Comics. Thank you for joining us. Coyotes number 1, and this is all based on this went from a $1 bin book to a $20 book, based on the writer going, hey, it's in development, and then going, oh, not just in development, we're actually in production. And okay, I stand by. If you didn't care about this before, maybe the show's a hit. Maybe it actually makes it from development to the airways. Generally, this doesn't happen. Most of these don't happen. Maybe this is the one. But I would probably wait till people forget about it in a couple of 3 months while it's in production and there's no announcements, and then get this book back for $5 to $10 at the most. So that's my going all the way down. Oh, it wouldn't be the first time I'm wrong. Yeah, but how long has that been? You can get Crosswind for cheap now because, yeah, it's in development. It takes a long time. It takes a long time from when a book gets optioned, when it goes into development, till you actually see it. And people forget, and you have time. So maybe Chaos becomes a hit. My point is, you will have opportunities to track this down between now and then. Don't do it while it's on the list. That is my point related to Coyotes, and it is the same point that you can make about Mask, although I'm going to say this one, this was in the 80s a crappy version of GoBots, not a crappy version of Transformers. It was a crappy version of GoBots. GoBots was the crappy version of Transformers. Nobody cared about this then. Nobody cares about it now. They're going to make it into a TV series. Okay. I mean, come on. As a kid, I had to settle for GoBots occasionally because, yeah, that was just our Transformers were more expensive. But come on. Nobody cared about this then. Nobody cares about it now. I do not understand why. Oh, it's in a movie. Sorry, a movie, not a show. A movie is in development. So this is suddenly a $15 book, and a 9.8 is going for $175. What is wrong with you people? This should have been in the dumpster fire. I swear. I should have been harsher on this one. All right, we're moving along. To come on, man. And I almost put this in the dumpster fire, but it only didn't go in the dumpster fire because of the price point. And this is Batman 38. The first, what was this kid's name? Speaking of Batman villains, introduce Matthew Warner, who wanted to be Bruce Wayne and like killed his parents and like turned him so he could like live Bruce Wayne's life, and became a villain and got sent to Arkham. And so if you haven't heard why this book hit the list, James Tynion, mask is trash. Hey man, this is for poor kids. So James Tynion made a statement when they were talking about Punchline that Punchline's not like Harley. She's a bad guy. And people have taken this to mean that Punchline is trans. And now they're taking that to mean that Punchline is not just trans, but she's actually this kid all grown up and villain. And they're retconning, and this is actually the first appearance of Punchline. And people are specking on this book all of a sudden. And it's based on one thing. She's a bad guy. Which is just a generic statement, meaning she's not like Harley was never really, really evil. She was just, and Punchline's actually evil, is what he was trying to say. The only reason this is not a dumpster fire this week is because it's still only going for like $5 to $10. And not more. If it was going for more, I would be really hot about this. I'm missing Dollar Ben's point here. I'm not sure. My point is, this is not. Maybe this is Punchline, but unlikely. It's based on nothing. People are specking based on nothing. It's a dumpster fire. Like I said, it should be there, even though it's only going for $5 to $10. It should be there. I probably should. Here, we'll just put it up. Come on, people. Come on. So that is this week's list. I'm not going to spend any more time on this stupid Batman 38. Lord have mercy. I want to thank everyone for joining us. I love Signed Comics. Thank you. I think I shouted you out a while ago when you first popped in. Dreadnoks for life. Thank you for joining us. I'm over 30 minutes. That is not my goal for this video. Jay Hood's in here. Pipeface. I think that's everybody. I think I got everybody shouted out. I want to thank you guys, as always, for joining us. As always, this is my opinion, and I do need to say one more thing before I go, because, and I should have put this at the beginning, and I forgot, and that annoys me, but it'll be at the end if people watch, and maybe I'll shout out next week. 2 weeks ago, when I did this, I called out Tom for not giving context related to, and kind of misstating and overselling what was going on with Amazing Spider-Man 361. Him and Jim Mint said some things that didn't make sense. Anyway, I called them out for it. I don't know if they've seen it. I don't know if they know anything about it. This week, Tom still did his thing where he does averaging this with a high of this. But this week, he did something he had not been doing recently, as he started giving context for why the book was the high value. He did this for a couple of books. He did it for the Wolverine book. He did it for the Riddler book. He did it for one other one I'm forgetting now. Good for Tom. That's all I was really asking, is it needed to be some context added. He did it, explained why the book was where it was at. So with that, thank you for smashing the like button before you go. we're going to end this as I'm at 35 minutes, which is too long for this. But thank you, everybody. I'll be back tonight on my usual Sunday night live stream. Later.